Hi. So, Kenya and Djibouti are running against time to ensure that both Somalia and Ethiopia come to the table and agree on a deal that will allow Ethiopia to have a commercial port on the Indian Ocean. They are doing this in order to avoid a war, because Ethiopia have said before that if they are not able to get access to sea, then they will be forced to fight for access to sea. So, they want these two countries to come to the table through IGAD, which is the intergovernmental organization in the region, to agree on the mechanism that will allow Ethiopia to gain access to a commercial port of their own on the Indian Ocean. The reason behind this is because Ethiopia badly needs a port, and they have said that they might go to war because of that. And a lot of people are speculating that maybe they want to go to war with Eritrea, or maybe they want to take part of Somalia. And earlier this year, you saw that Ethiopia and the breakaway region of Somaliland signing a treaty that will allow Ethiopia to have a naval base, about 14-kilometer long coastline, where they are going to construct a naval base and their commercial port. This commercial port, they are going to link it with the hinterland, the Ethiopian interior. And the Navy is there to basically protect their interests on the coast. Now, you remember Somalia came and protested this deal because Somalia still considers Somaliland as part of Somalia. And in a video that I made at the time, this is what I said. And Somalia says that there's no talks unless Ethiopia retracts the Somaliland deal. So this deal is the bone of contention between these two countries, and I'm going to tell you what it means. So Ethiopia, which is a landlocked country, has signed a memorandum of understanding with the Somaliland, an MOU, and this deal grants Ethiopia access to sea for commercial traffic and also to construct a naval base that they are going to operate in Somaliland for a period of 50 years. In return, Somaliland will get a share in Ethiopian Airlines. Somalia reacted to this, and that's why they are doing what I just said. They reacted to this because they consider Somaliland a part of their territory. So Somalia considers Somaliland a part of its territory. It has reacted angrily to this MOU. They've described the deal as a clear violation of Somalia's sovereignty, and Somalia has recalled its ambassador to Ethiopia and declared the agreement null and void. As a matter of fact, they even went to parliament and created a law that actually makes it illegal to cede or lease any territory to Ethiopia in relation to Somaliland. And Somaliland has been operating as a sovereign independent state. It's more peaceful than the other Somalia. It has a very prosperous capital called Hargeisa. But a lot of international community do not recognize Somaliland as a sovereign state. The same way Taiwan in China is not recognized. As a matter of fact, Somaliland and Taiwan have a very close relationship, which pushes China to also have a closer relationship with the other Somalia in Mogadishu. And so from that deal, it was that Ethiopia in January, that was signed in January, Ethiopia had a deal with the Somaliland, which is the breakaway region of Somalia, to lease a portion of Somaliland coastline in return for possible recognition of the Somaliland region as an independent state or an independent country, which has also, Somaliland claimed independence from Somalia in 1991. So that's what happened from that. And today, Kenya, yesterday actually, proposed a treaty to ease the Somali-Ethiopia tensions. And I'm going to tell you why Kenya is getting involved. So they have proposed a treaty which will allow together, that is Kenya and Djibouti. Djibouti is the country that is north of Somaliland. And alongside Kenya, they've called the president of Somalia and the prime minister of Ethiopia to meet and to agree to this new deal they are proposing. So the deal is a maritime treaty which is supposed to diffuse tensions between Ethiopia and Somalia. And the deal is backed by international supporters, that is the United States, and the regional bodies like IGAD. The deal itself is basically like a roadmap on how landlocked countries will be able to access coastal ports in future or in the current, right? In other words, this deal is going to outline the process where Ethiopia would get their own port in Somaliland that they can control. And in the deal, the requirement for Ethiopia to have that port is that it should be purely commercial. And Ethiopia should not construct a naval base, because when Ethiopia had a deal with Somaliland, there was a mention that they were planning to construct a naval base. And Ethiopia was planning to have their own navy in Somaliland, which is that northern region that broke away from the Somalia. And this is what triggered the tension, because Somalia felt that they were being invaded, having foreign armies there. And looking at it, other countries do it. The United States have a naval base in Djibouti. China has a naval base in Djibouti. France has always had a naval base in Djibouti. So what's wrong with an African country having a naval base in another African country? I don't see the problem. Of course, you're always suspicious. And Somalia has the right to be suspicious of Ethiopia, because you remember the 1967 to 1972 war, the Ogaden War, which is the reason why Somalia is always suspicious of the actions of Ethiopia. In that war, Somalia wanted to reclaim their former territory of the Ogaden, but Ethiopia fought them and kept that territory. So Somalia always views Ethiopia as an invader and a colonizer. And that's why they do not want to see a naval base, an Ethiopian naval base closer to Mogadishu. Yeah, it may be located in the north in Beira, in the port of Beira, or far north in that region of Somaliland, but it's very close to Mogadishu. So they have their own reasons why they are suspicious, and they do not want that. So Kenya is coming in to help Ethiopia be able to get their own port, so they can lease several kilometers of coastline, in this case from Somalia or Somaliland, and construct their own commercial port and link that commercial port with their own hinterland, their own land in the interior, with road networks and even railway. And they can lease this for 100 years, 50 years, depending on the agreement. So that is the treaty that Kenya wants Ethiopia to be able to engage with Somalia. But after Kenya proposed that, the Somali president came to Kenya and agreed. But the moment he left Kenya and went back to Somalia, they released a statement saying that they are not going to agree with the deal between Ethiopia and Somaliland. So in other words, Somalia has no problem allowing Ethiopia to access the coastal town or having a commercial port, but as long as the negotiations are between Somalia and Ethiopia.